Moshing?
Acoustic moshing.
Acoustic moshing. This man is a pioneer.
Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen. How nice to see you all. How are you doing? Excellent. Rock and roll. I like a man who wears a set of spectacles. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am Jeff Parsons, and I'm going to be starting this evening at O'Reilly's with some acoustic tunes. I hope you're going to like at least one of them. I'm going to start with a song called Short-Term Memory. It's about the things that start happening to you when you get to my time of life. The old brain starts to let you down. Maybe some of you have experienced similar things. Short-term memory loss. I know a lot of young people these days like to indulge in certain psychedelic substances which may have an effect on their short-term memory. No comment. Okay, so here we go. This one is called, if I can see what I'm doing here, Short-Term Memory. Short-term memory is not what it used to be. Short-term memory deserts us all eventually. My powers of recall are now exactly at their peak. I can tell you what happened in '74, but don't ask about last week. Now I was known among my friends for reasons most absurd, like the ability to recite League of Gentlemen sketches word for word, and intoning the order of the service stations on the entire M1. But unfortunately, most of this ability is virtually gone. Now don't get me wrong, there are many things which have survived intact, but I no longer seem to be able to process much in the way of fact. Short-term memory is not what it used to be. Short-term memory deserts us all eventually. My powers of recall are now exactly at their peak. I can tell you what happened in '74, but don't ask about last week. My brain was like a fountain from which information would gush, but unfortunately it's I'll do that line again. But unfortunately, but it seems such a shame and I feel so lame, but it's basically turned to mush. These senior moments take place with increasing regularity. I walk with purpose into a room, but that purpose is a mystery. Now don't get me wrong, there are many tasks which I can still perform, but I'm scratching my head and the devil on my shoulder says you're not even warm. Short-term memory deserts us all eventually. Short-term memory is not what it used to be. My powers of recall are not exactly at their peak. I can tell you what happened in '74, but don't ask about last week. Now obviously the ability to recall what you're trying to do is desirable, but it's impossible to follow some things through. The appointments I've missed, so make a list and then you won't forget. Now where's that list? I had it in my fist, I haven't found it yet. Now don't get me wrong, I can get along from one thing to the next, but I'm destined to spend from now to the end being permanently vexed. A short-term memory is not what it used to be. Short-term memory deserts us all eventually. My powers of recall are now exactly at their peak. I can tell you what happened in '74, but don't ask about last week. Well, I can tell you what happened in '74, but Sorry, could you repeat the question? Thank you very much. Short-term memory. Okay. Well, like a lot of people that get to my time of life, I become concerned about things, concerned about the world and the state it's in, and what we're going to leave for our children. So, I've written this song called The Bag for Life Blues. Here we go. It's the first blues song I've ever written, and I'm pretty old. This planet's the only one we got, so we have to make it last. And we can't go on behaving like we have done in the past. So be a responsible citizen and resolve to do your bit, or else we all will end up face down in the cosmic gutter. So cut down on consumption, recycle and reuse. And if you don't know what to do, I'll give you a couple of clues. Don't boil more water than you need. Don't leave lights on overnight. And turn your central heating off. You know damn well I'm right. Don't go in the car to the paper shop. No, throw out that food, no wait. It's perfectly edible even though it's past the sell-by date. And don't throw those carrier bags away, it will lead to untold strife. And that's why I'm flying the flag for the carrier bag for life. Yeah. You shop in the convenience store, you approach the counter pay. They're sticking your stuff in a plastic bag before you got a chance to say, I've got my own bag, thank you, and I don't need any more. And giving out even more free carrier bags should be against the law. There is no excuse to miss out on reuse of the carrier bags you're given, unless of course you make carrier bags and are totally profit driven. Don't leave your gadgets on standby when you go to bed at night, and turn the central heating off, you know damn well I'm right. Don't make that journey in the car when you could go on foot. And you could easily throw that carrier bag in the bin, but don't throw that carrier bag away, it will lead to untold strife. And that's why I'm flying the flag for the carrier bag for life, yeah. Now it doesn't take much common sense to understand this fact, that sooner or later there'll be nothing left and the planet will exact revenge upon us all for bringing her down to her knees and polluting all her oceans and chopping down all the trees. So it comes down quite simply to the lifestyle that you choose. And in case you haven't got it yet, I'll give you a few more clues. Don't buy food that you don't really need to throw most of it away. Cut down on processed shrink wrap junk, you know it's right what I say. Don't buy a Sunday newspaper just for the TV guide. And if you ignore everything I've said, well then at least I've tried. Don't throw that carrier bag away, it will lead to untold strife. That's why I'm flying the flag for the carrier bag for life. The carrier bag for life, I said the carrier bag for life. The carrier bag for life. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. The carrier bag for life. Excellent stuff. So, this is another one about kind of getting to the time of life that some of us get to, and one that feels the sense of one's immortality. No, I'm not immortal. I used to think I was immortal. Mortality. That was a Freudian slip, ladies and gentlemen. One's own mortality. What will become of me? I'd like to think that I'll end up in some old musician's home, being looked after by young rock chicks. We won't go any further down that one. But I'll be alright. The reality might be somewhat different. I might find myself in an old people's home, sitting in a circle, watching whatever the daytime TV shows are at the time. sitting in my own mess. Oh dear, oh dear. Anyway, I wrote this song about the possible future, and it's like an old guy sat in the old people's home thinking back over his life. It's called Grow Up. Is that Mr. Buxton? Hello, Mr. Buxton. How nice to see you. Excellent. So here we go. This is called Grow Up. But I never did, because deep inside I'm still just a kid, still trapped within the body of a man. Grow up, she said, but I don't think I can. Grow up, she cried, but I never would. Some said I wouldn't even if I could. And in the mirror, who looks back at me? Maybe I could tell you, but I can't quite see. And I can't stand up cause my legs are shaking. I can't sit down cause my backside's aching. And deep down inside this old heart of mine is breaking. And the nurse can't understand the fuss I'm making. Grow up, she cried, it's time to be a man. And then she hit me with a frying pan. And through the stars I saw, I wondered how things could ever turn out better now. Grow up and face responsibility. Why is everything always left to me? Nobody knows the things I had to endure. For what I'm suffering there is no cure. And I can't stand up cause my legs are shaking. I can't sit down cause my backside's aching. And deep down inside this old heart of mine is breaking. And the nurse can't understand the fuss I'm making. Medication time. Here comes the happy hour. Medication time. My mouth is dry and sour. Medication time. Take these, you'll feel much better. You'll be floating in the sky like a real jet setter. I bet when you were young you were a real go-getter. But now there's drool on your chin and your pants are getting wetter. Grow up, she cried, and try to act your age. When are you gonna earn a decent wage? You'll be the death of me and everyone will know it's your fault that I'm dead or gone. And now that kid who's still inside of me is not on view for anyone to see. If I could bend my arthritic knees, I'd jump up and give your ass a squeeze. But I can't stand up cause my legs are shaking. I can't sit down cause my backside's aching. And deep down inside this old heart is breaking. And the nurse can't understand the fuss I'm making. Grow up, she cried, but I never did. Grow up, she cried, you're acting like a kid. Like a kid, like a kid, like a kid, like a kid, like a kid. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Did you like the improvised echo at the end there?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, so this is a different kind of song, a little bit more optimistic. This is about, you may have a partner, you might identify with this, Mr. Sheriff, or anybody else in the room. You might have a partner and you think they're actually wonderful. And you think, you know, if you put your mind to it, you could actually do anything. Maybe they don't believe you. Maybe they should. Okay, this is called You Can Do Anything. Frustrate me in almost equal measure. You can be so demanding, but that notwithstanding, you are my greatest treasure. The highs and the lows, the excitement which grows like a roller coaster ride, never cease to amaze him of the one. anything else in between. You have such intuition, could accept any mission and achieve it with complete success. And you're so motivated by power overstated that it makes me expect nothing less. Another thing you have taught me, something else that I know about you. You can accomplish anything you want to. You can do anything. The breath of ability you're within. You can be like a double-edged sword. You can subvert yourself with enthusiasm, then pronounce yourself completely bored. So now that we know just how far you could go, we've come to the crux of the matter. You must give yourself room to emerge from the gloom, or I will go mad as a hatter. No one else I know has so far to go, or with even half your potential. So to any ambition, I implore you to listen. To achieve it is simply essential. The biggest thing you have taught me, that I know best of all about you. You can accomplish anything you want to. You can do anything. You can do anything. You can do anything. Ladies and gentlemen. Okay, optimism. All right, now social comment. Ladies and gentlemen, there are some ladies amongst us, aren't there? I can see you out there. Imagine a time when, just because you were a woman, you would be paid half the wages that a man was paid for doing the same job.
Yeah.
Boo hiss, indeed. Mr. Sheriff likes the idea. This used to be the case, and you may be aware of a film, you might have seen a film a couple of years ago called Made in Dagenham, and it was about the ladies who worked in the Ford factory in Dagenham. We used to make cars in this country, sadly no more, and these ladies used to sew the upholstery on the seats. And some men used to do the same job, and they used to get paid twice as much. So the women went on strike, and nobody thought that they would go on strike, but they did. And then nobody thought they would stay on strike, but they did. And it took a long time, but these ladies won equal pay.
Yeah!
Right on. And this song is about that. It's inspired by that film. It's called A Fair Day's Pay. Here we go. There is a struggle raging which has always been in view, despite the facts that it may be invisible to you. Too many armies raged against each other endlessly, each wishing that the other would surrender totally. One sits upon the left and another on the right, and though the lines are sometimes blurred, they bluster in plain sight. They fight for something greater than the simple right to be free. They are locked in conflict for a sentence of ignominy. We can boil down almost everything that they say. We'll do a fair day's work for a fair day's pay. till you take a closer look. We didn't always play the game exactly by the book. Can you say how much your job is worth? What you're prepared to pay? And if a woman does that job, will you take half the wages away? In years gone by, brave women had to stand alone and fight against the men who took command as if by divine right. Vicious harpies, one and all, every boss is not to be believed, and branded as ungrateful for the blessings they receive. We can thank them for their constancy, they said day after day. We'll do a fair day's work for a fair day's pay. Excellent. Now the victory won in Dagenham was the battle, not the war. It rages on in high places and down on the shop floor. And we must never give an inch for fear that they will take a mile. And we must not be dissuaded by their caustic bitter bile. For we all know in our heart of hearts what's wrong and what is right. And we must confront our enemy who is hiding in plain sight, and not forget for a single moment those who stood up strong. To those brave souls I will pay my respects here in the song. It is thanks to their sacrifice that we can proudly say, you know what we can say? We'll do a fair day's work for a fair day's pay. And again, we'll do a fair day's work for a fair day's pay. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Well, just one more from me. This is a song I wrote a little while ago. Sitting in, do you know the Cafe Nero in Victoria Square? Nice place to sit and watch the world go by. And it struck me as I was sitting there one day, what an awful lot of rude people there are in the world today. Don't you agree, Mr. Sheriff?
Yeah, absolutely.
Rude people. They get all over the place. They've become the bane of my life. And for rude people, you can substitute your own racial or cultural stereotype if you like. I don't mind. This song is called Rude People. Okay. And I've been Jeff Parsons, and you can find me on all the usual things. Facebook. What's the other one? That thing with the telly. YouTube. That's right. I'm on all these things. I've really dragged myself into the 20th century, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, hey, hey. Okay, here we go. Rude people. Rude people, they get everywhere. They mumble and grumble, they spit and they swear. Rude people taking over the place. They get on your nerves and they get in your face. Now people will say, where there's a will, there's a way. But I can't see my way clear. And I fear for our health and spiritual wealth. and everything I hold dear. So put them in the army. Well, it's not quite so balmy, but maybe we shouldn't train them to kill. And is it really their fault? Can we bring to a halt all this rudeness with the force of our will? It seems that civilization is in a steep decline, and it's getting worse. I don't think we can reverse. Are we at the end of the line? I'm talking about rude people, they get everywhere. They're bleating about how life just isn't fair. Rude people taking over the town. Their boorish behavior is bringing it down. A gradual shift has caused a great big rift down the center of society. And we stand either side of the social divide, each wondering what the other can't see. The pill-popping youth, an uncomfortable truth, or a media stereotype, or the man in the suit pulling on his jackboot, far too eager to believe the hype. It looks like there's a breakdown, and neither side can trust. If you look, do you see people desperately trying to settle between boom and bust? But those rude people, they get everywhere. Take them to task if you think that you dare. Rude people taking over the nation, blissfully unaware of our castigation. Can we sell home couture to the spiritually poor? And is that the way to repair all the damage we've done whilst having our fun? And does anyone really care? I don't know, do we care? To make people polite, or should we just leave them alone? To be rude to each other and spiritually smother themselves and then sink like a stone. Are they worthy of saving, or am I just raving? And should we quit while we're ahead? Or will you listen to those nice people who believe they'd be better off dead? It seems that the cross is burning, and the final judgment is nigh. And there will always be those who think they can see their purpose decreed from on high. Those rude people, they get everywhere. Can you not remember that they've always been there? Rude people taking over the earth. I wonder if they know what it's really worth. I said, I wonder if they know what it's really worth. I wonder if they know what it's really worth. Yes, I wonder if they know what it's really worth. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for listening. listening, very kind. I hope you've enjoyed something you've heard. And don't go away, because there are 3 wonderfully exciting live bands about to take to the stage, not all at the same time, for your delight and entertainment. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.